It's been a little while. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About a month? Nah, probably more. Well, at least I have some cool trains to show. Oh yeah. My trip to the York TCA train show this past October was awesome. Hey guys, Sid from Sid's Trains here. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we're going to be going over my trip to the York train show in York, Pennsylvania this past October. The York TCA train show is a show held twice a year by the Train Collectors Association. It's held in April and October at the York, Pennsylvania Fairgrounds. And for three-rail O-scale and this general O-scale industry, it is one of the larger shows, as it is a place where you can buy trains, sell trains, and you can also talk with the major dealers and manufacturers in one of the larger halls. As always, the show was a blast. I got to buy myself some new trains, but the best part about this hobby for me personally is getting to talk with people, getting to hang out with friends, and enjoying the hobby with other people. Of course, it's fun to be at your own layout, running trains, and enjoying your own collection. But the best part is getting to do it with others as well. While at the show, I got to talk to tons of amazing people, including dealers, some of the manufacturers, fans of the channel, my friends, and then after the show, I got to hang out with some people at various layouts, including my own, with some friends, and that's really the best part about this hobby, is getting to enjoy it with your friends and overall just have a great time. Before we get into talking about the show and the things I bought while at the show, I want to mention my new logo for the channel. This logo was created by my friend Leia over at Sleepytime Junction. My old profile picture from my account was a GS2 Daylight, and then I created a cartoon-like train logo with the Sid's Trains and my little slogan underneath it. But I really wanted to have the GS2 as my logo, so I had Leia draw me up this amazing logo, and of course has my catchphrase and my name on it, and it looks fantastic. The GS2 is very detailed and her artwork is just fantastic. Make sure to go check out her account on Instagram, Sleepytime Junction, for all her amazing artwork. So whenever I go to the York train show, I always go along with my dad, and he and I love walking through the halls and finding items to purchase. And something my dad really enjoys is kind of digging around and trying to find those items. He likes going to the areas that aren't as organized because you get to look through the stuff and find some very cool items. And we always have a list of things that we want to find. And of course we don't always find them, but I did find a lot of stuff at this show, and I picked up some stuff as well. In this photo here, you can see all the items that I got while at the show. Some were purchased at the show, and some were just picked up from some friends at the show. All of it is very nice stuff, and I really am happy with all of the stuff I was able to pick up. And I can't thank my dad enough for always being there with me, as he helps me find some of these items, talks with me about them, helps me decide. And that's kind of another fun part about the hobby, is just doing this with someone else. It's always more fun to walk around the halls with someone else, and of course my dad, if I'm talking to somebody else, he can keep looking for me or looking for himself, because he also found some things on his own for his own personal stuff. My dad does collect some trains. He doesn't collect as much high-end or scale stuff like I do, but he's definitely interested in finding things and just understanding what I like and understanding what is out there in general. And so I always enjoy walking around, and we definitely found a lot of cool items while at the show. Starting out, one of the first things that I purchased while at the show was a 6-car set of K-Line, Chesapeake, and Ohio heavyweight passenger cars. I found these while at one of my favorite booths in the Orange Hall. The Orange Hall is the larger hall of the halls on the York Fairgrounds, and that has the larger dealers and the manufacturers. Vince's Trains is one of my favorite booths, and that's where I found these passenger cars. I was walking around the booth with my friends and I saw these cars and they were at a fantastic price and are in very good condition. I'm pretty sure they were brand new. So I talked with Vince. He and I are great friends and we decided on a deal and I picked them up and I'm so happy I was able to find these cars while at the show. These cars look fantastic with my Lionel Greenbrier. And Vince is an amazing guy. His booth and his business is fantastic. He started going back to the York Train Show recently, and it is always a booth I like to go to because there are tons of fantastic products at this booth. Engines, rolling stock from all different manufacturers, and it is all high quality and at great prices. And I wasn't the only one out of my friends who picked up stuff while at this booth. Check out all the amazing stuff myself and my friends picked up while at Vince's amazing booth. Such amazing stuff. All these items were fantastic, and I can't thank Vince enough for selling us all these amazing items at great prices and being such a great guy. Thank you, Vince. Moving on, another one of my favorite booths at York is Grzybowski's Trains. Joe Grzybowski brings his amazing, very large booth to York every April and October. Grzybowski's Trains is based out of Scranton, Pennsylvania, and I've been to the store several times, and it is amazing. He has a nice large warehouse full of trains and then a nice store. And lots of the stuff from that warehouse always comes to the show, and there's always fantastic Lionel, MTH, Atlas, all the major brands at his booth. And I was definitely looking for one particular item while at the show, and that was another Lionel New York Central Commodore Vanderbilt, the older silver one from 1996. I've owned a couple of these, but I've since gotten rid of them and wanted to get one back. And of course, there was only one at the show, and who other than Grzybowski's Trains to have one. It was almost like new in the box. I don't even know if it had ever really been run much. And it was at a great price. Joe and I talked, and I decided to pick it up as I really wanted one to go with the passenger cars I have, and that was a childhood favorite engine of mine. My dad got me that for a birthday years ago, and I definitely wanted to get it back as my old one had some issues and I had to get rid of it due to that. But I'm very happy I was able to pick up a new one and bring back some of those memories, and I can't thank Joe at Grzybowski's Trains enough for selling me that and always being such a great guy and bringing an amazing booth to the show. Thank you, Joe. One of my favorite purchases while at the York Train Show this time was this right here. This is a third rail 462 streamlined Pacific, and it is called the Mercury. This is a very obscure engine, and the train in real life was definitely obscure as well. And that story and the history behind it, and seeing this in lots of old TM videos, made me love this engine, and it's been on my radar for quite a long time. And when I was at the train show, I saw a couple of them, but this was the nicest one, and it was the best deal. I got this from Tri-State Trains, and what a pretty model. Just take a look at this. It is definitely a very obscure looking model. It's almost pretty because it's kind of ugly at the same time. It's definitely not as flashy looking and kind of more refined like the Pennsylvania's Torpedo or the Commodore Vanderbilt. But this is such a cool engine, and I'm so happy that I was able to find it while at the train show. Well, you can't have the Mercury without having the Mercury passenger cars. While at the show, I went over to my friends at Trainscom and was talking with them. They had brought some two-rail models this go-around, some Lionel models, and of course tons of rolling stock. But I didn't find a ton of stuff there this time, which is no biggie. You don't always have to buy stuff at every booth you go to. But I always enjoy talking with my friends at Trains.com, talking with Scott Griggs and all the amazing employees at the booth. But while there, I talked to Jonathan, who works in the warehouse at Trains and is always sorting through stuff. And I told him, if you see a set of Mercury passenger cars, because I just bought the third round Mercury earlier at the show, I told him, if you see any, notify me of the cars. And by chance, when I got home from the show, I went on to the Trains website and I was notified of a set that was on the site, and I decided to pick those cars up. It was the 4-car set, and they are beautiful passenger cars. And after finding that 4-car set, I then found the 3-car set from a person on one of the major forums, and now I have the entire Mercury passenger set with the engine and all the cars. I can't thank Trains enough as always, because they always have what you need. And if you would like to save $10 off your next order with Trains.com, make sure to use my code SIDSTRAINS at checkout and use my affiliates link, www.trains.com/SIDSTRAINS. Your support is greatly appreciated. So those were the major large items that I purchased while at the show. But my dad and I also purchased some smaller items. My dad picked up some post-war flat cars, and he even found me the 4th car to a K-Line diecast 4-car set of B&O hoppers. I had been looking for this final car for quite a while now, and I'd seen some online in kind of okay shape, but they were really expensive. But my dad was able to find me the 4th one, brand new in the box, for a really good price in one of the halls. So I'm really happy I was able to pick that up while at the show. That was a really good find by my dad. And then we also picked up some kind of neat knick-knack items. We always like finding items that are kind of cool and things we could just display on the shelf. You don't always have to run stuff or use it on your layout. But it's always cool to have stuff to just display. And overall, all the stuff we picked up at the show was really cool, and I'm happy I was able to find it all. I also picked up a lot of stuff at the show that I had purchased prior to the show from friends, and I'm really excited to show you some of those items. Prior to the show, I had purchased a decent chunk of items from my great friend Matt Rochford at the M&M podcast, or West Chicago Model Railroad. He had been selling off a few items, and I decided to pick them up. The first thing that I got from him was a set of Lionel Union Pacific passenger cars. They are the 21-inch passenger cars, and they look fantastic. And I picked them up to go with my MTH Glossy Big Boy and all my other UP steam engines, and they really look good behind all of these engines. And to go along with that as well, I also picked up a UP water tender from him. I have the newer Excursion version water tenders, but I decided to also pick up an older style UP water tender, as I thought it would be cool to have a couple of them to interchange, and I really like the way it looks. This train running together looks fantastic, and I can't thank Matt enough for selling me these passenger cars. I also picked up the Lionel coal tower from Matt. This coal tower looks really good on the layout, and I like the way that it looks like concrete. I know that Golden Gate Depot made a very nice coal tower, but I really like the way the Lionel one looks, and he was selling it at a great price, and I couldn't pass up the deal on this fantastic accessory. Finally, I was able to pick up some items that I had purchased from my great friend Eric Trainman. He is always buying and selling trains, and he's an awesome guy. And he had some items that I was very interested in and purchased prior to the show, and then picked up at the show. The first thing was a set of MTH Western Maryland boxcars to go with my MTH Western Maryland M2 Challenger. These cars are amazing, and they were in great condition, and I'm so happy I was able to pick them up, as they look really good with the M2 Challenger. I also picked up a MTH Atlantic Coastline Northern type from him. It's an older MTH 5-volt model, and I picked it up to then fix and resell for him because he didn't really have the time to sit down and fix up this engine. And I decided I would pick it up from him, do some work on it, and then sell it because it was damaged in shipping. The speaker was bad, the battery was bad. It was having some issues with the electronics. And I fixed it up for him, and it was a beautiful model when I was all said and done. And then I was able to sell it to a guy on Facebook in one of the model train groups. And he loves the engine, which I am very happy to see. And that model overall was beautiful. I know Eric really liked it, but because it was damaged in shipping, it was just something that both of us really didn't want to keep. And we would rather both just work on it and then give it off to someone else because we didn't really have the desire to keep them, or rather that engine, anymore. But the final thing that I picked up from Eric is a very cool item, and it's something very different for me in terms of what kind of engine it is. But I always like nice models, specifically Lionel Vision Line models, and I was able to pick up a very cool Vision Line model from Eric. That model being the Lionel Vision Line Diecast ES44 GE Evolution Hybrid. This is a fantastic model. The paint job on this is amazing. That green and blue paint scheme is just a fantastic look. And this engine, for the time it was produced, is an extraordinary model. The fact that it is die-cast is just crazy. This thing weighs more than some steam engines, which is crazy to think about. It also has very cool charge lights that go down the side of the engine when it is running, and those look amazing. They're very bright, they're oscillating all the time. It's really cool to see. It also has a cool smoke feature that simulates the hybrid effect of this engine, where the smoke kicks on and off based on the RPMs, and the same thing goes with the fans. I'm no expert on the Evolution hybrids, but it is a very cool model, and I'm very happy to now have a Vision Line one in my collection. However, as always, stuff isn't always perfect, and I knew when I purchased this hybrid, it was not in amazing condition cosmetically. Mechanically and electronically it works fine, but cosmetically it does have some issues. Some of the handrails are bent up and broken, some of the stanchions are broken, and it's also a very dirty model. It had been run very hard by the guy that Eric bought it from, and I knew that going into it, so there's no issue with that. And I like the idea of being able to restore it back to its original factory quality condition. But overall, this is a fantastic model, and I am so happy that I was able to pick this up from Eric. Thank you, Eric, for selling me this fantastic Lionel diesel. Before we wrap this video up, I do want to talk about some of the events that happened during the show and after the show. At the show, there was another one of the social media events or meet and greets that is held by a bunch of YouTubers and the TCA. This year, it was better than ever before. There was around 100 plus people in the room, the veranda room specifically, where the event was held. There was 80 to 100 people online watching on the live stream. It was definitely fantastic to see that there was such a great response and people interested in attending this event. I wasn't part of it this time. I have been part of it in the past, but all the people who participated in it and all the people who showed up show that it's really a great event, and something that I think the TCA and the people that put on the event will continue to do, because it gets people involved, gets them talking about the hobby, whether it's with us YouTubers or just socializing in the room after the event. After the show, there was always a bunch of hangouts and layout tours that I always get to participate in. The most common one, and something that's been going on for quite a while now, is going to my great friend Chris over at Chris's Trains and Things, going to his house and getting to hang out with him and all the other people that he invites at his layout. His layout is fantastic, getting to see all his amazing collection run around, and of course getting to see other people run their trains on his layout is great. There was tons of people at his place this past October, and I got to meet a ton of great people. A bunch of Detroit 3-railers were there, people from one of the local clubs, YouTubers, people from TCA. It was really a great event, and I can't thank you enough, Chris, for always inviting me and my dad to come over and have a great time after the show. Myself and a bunch of friends also went over to RBP Trains, Chris RBP's layout. It's always great getting to hang out with Chris, and a bunch of other people hadn't been able to experience and see his layout before, so we all went down there after the show, and it was really a lot of fun getting to hang out with Chris and everyone else that was there. His layout is fantastic, and it's fun watching trains run around and socializing in the hobby. Johnny from Autonomous Trains was there, Matt R. from West Chicago Model Railroad, Zach from Joker's Trains, a bunch of other people, and it was really a great time as we got to hang out, run trains we bought at the show, and just kind of relax. After the show, you're definitely kind of tired of standing around, you're kind of burnt out from trains, but getting to hang out with friends and just relax after the show is something I definitely enjoy, and I can't thank Chris enough for always inviting me over and allowing me to hang out and have a great time. Finally, I had some friends over to my house and my layout after the show. Before the show, I had been working really hard to get my layout into shape to have people over. By no means is my layout anywhere close to being fully scenic or done, so to speak. Layouts are never done, but I wanted to get it to a point where I felt it was more presentable than it was in prior to the show, and so I wanted to get the turntable working fully. I wanted to get a good control panel set up and get the layout nice and cleaned up and ready for people to see it. And I was able to do that with the help of my dad. We got the turntable working, all the whisker tracks working, we got a great control panel built, and we got some basic mountain scenery and some of the structure done for the mountains. Nothing is complete, of course, but it's definitely more presentable than it was before. And I had people over, and I had such a great time getting to host people, hang out, and just relax after the show. I can't thank everybody that was at the show and at all of the things after the show for how nice they are and just allowing me to hang with them. That's my favorite part about this hobby at this point, is getting to hang out with friends. Obviously, like I said, we do this because of model trains, but at this point it's becoming more just, I want to hang out with my friends, and model trains are one of the ways to do that. I enjoy hanging out with all the people that I get to see at the show and at various events during the year, and I just can't thank everybody that came over to my place and then allowed me to be at their places after the show. I can't thank you all enough, and I can't thank you, the watchers, enough for supporting my channel and helping me grow this channel and helping me grow my business with working on model trains, because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I am now. So I can't thank everybody enough who has helped me get to where I am and who has been so kind to me over all these years. So that about wraps up this video. I'm going to run some trains around and show you clips from after the show. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below. And let me know what you think about the video, and let me know what you think about York if you went to the show. And if you didn't, I definitely recommend going to the show. But as always, make sure to like, subscribe, and click that bell for notifications. I'm Sid, and I'll see you next time, guys.